Newport News and surrounding cities, if you know someone in Newport News, I need you to get out and vote on June 17th. This election, this primary election, is extremely important to select the right candidate that's going to move over into the general election. You deserve a candidate that can speak for you, a candidate that has the experience, that knows how to deal with pressure. You deserve that. This is your position. So please, let's fortify Newport News. Let's continue to elevate not only our families, our small businesses, but our city at large. Let's do this. I hope to see you on June 17th, and I hope to be your candidate. Let's make it happen. Let's elevate Newport News.
June 17th, people.
June 17th.
Welcome to the Lion and Cryin podcast. I am your host, Mr. Griffin, and my co-host,
Nikki.
And we are honored here today to interview our future treasurer of the Newport News and Virginia area, Miss Sanu. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing all right. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome.
So, tell us where you're from and how your upbringing has influenced your career choices.
So I'm originally from Manhattan, New York. Whoop, whoop, New York.
Okay.
Yes. Money making Manhattan.
Okay.
I know everybody wants to talk about the Bronx and Brooklyn.
Okay.
But I was born in Manhattan to an immigrant dad from Senegal. My mom is from Baltimore, not Baltimore, Maryland. They met on a subway train, and my dad was persistent. And she was like, if this foreigner don't get away from me. But he finally got her. And so, was raised in New York. That's all I knew. Went to PS 116, went to School of the Future, and then graduated, and always going to college was the dream. My mom didn't get to finish. My dad excelled in school, but going to college was always the dream. That dream almost didn't happen as I got into a relationship with a gentleman in high school. Or he wasn't a gentleman, he was a buster. In high school.
Not the busters.
He was a buster.
He's a buster?
He was a buster. I haven't heard that word in a long time. I had to, I'm going to choose my words wisely. He was a scrub.
Okay.
Dated him throughout high school, and that was an abusive relationship. So a survivor of teen dating violence, and that almost got in the way of me pursuing my collegiate career. I remember taking a Greyhound to Hampton University because I was like, I need to go to the school that is the furthest away.
Okay.
It was not far enough. But I also wanted the HBCU experience, but also remember like asking him permission to like be able to go that far. And getting on a Greyhound bus, and he came down, and it was like, I need to see what this is and where you're going to go and what you're going to do. And I remember pleading, like, let me just go here for 1 year. But in that, hoping that, like, I just need 1 year to build up enough confidence and courage to, like, get away from you. Like, maybe you'll just, like, find someone else, to control and to mistreat, and you'll forget all about me. And that didn't happen for about a year and a half. But Virginia, like, saved me. I remember coming to Hampton, and folks were just so supportive and loving, like that Southern hospitality that everybody told me about. I felt it.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. I was like, in New York, you've got to be hard, and it's a survival mode, right? You've got to have a show. But just even people driving, like, no, you go. No, like, you go. I was just like, somebody go. This is crazy. So feeling that Southern hospitality, and Hampton University, when they say the standard of excellence, they mean it. I've had amazing professors that just poured into me. It wasn't easy. I had to work and put myself through school. I only had 1 year tuition. And so, worked at West. Shout out to West.
Oh, man.
Call center of call centers.
Who ain't worked there?
Who didn't work at West? But West was getting the bills paid.
Right.
West and bussing, tables, being a banquet server, and was a teacher's assistant, working in economics, helping her on her dissertation, whatever was going to make it work to stay in Virginia and to just stay in that support system. And so into my career choices, I felt like Virginia just gave me so much that it was wrong to just pick up and leave like many of my classmates did. Like, I'm going to go back to a major city. If you would have asked me, I was living in California somewhere in a major city, in a hustle and bustle, but it gave me so much that I said, I need to give back.
Wow.
And
people, do you hear that? She want to give back to the city that gave her so much.
Yes. And so I took a job with Wells Fargo, and that was in the height of the housing crisis, 2008. And I love economics. Everything read that we were going into a downturn of a market, a recession was coming, and I really felt like people need financial literacy, people need education, because they just need to make the right choices. Little did I know, banks weren't about always making the best choices.
They weren't.
But I stood in it and talked to people about reading the disclosures that were put in front of them. I remember management telling me, don't explain that to people, just make them sign it. We're about closing deals. And I would get in that office, and I'll never forget telling my branch manager, Dustin, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to let them know the implications of a variable rate and an APR and how we've moved to a prime rate to a LIBOR rate. Now we're using Europe's LIBOR rate, which is going to, this interest rate is going to change. It's going to cost you more, and just what that meant. And then explaining to them, if you know someone that is more financially savvy than you are, bring them in this meeting to the table to explain like amortization and like this house loan that's $150,000 by the time you pay it over 30 years at 8%, this house is actually going to cost you double. So double up on your monthly payments. You know what I mean? Make half your payment and cut your interest. Like all the tricks and trades that like we learned, but you didn't want us to empower and tell people. And so I found myself doing that with teachers, with military members that would come back and their spouses would run up their credit cards and like, how do you get out of debt? How do you consolidate? And I just felt like I wasn't able to make the impact that I wanted in that space. And so I moved out of that space and went to a credit union, which their lending criteria is very different. Their mission is very different. It's owned by the members. So their vested interest in seeing their members like thrive financially and give them products that help them achieve their goals and their dreams. And so did that and felt like, okay, I'm making an impact, but I need to do more. And so segued into helping military members that made less than $50,000 not have to pay to get their taxes prepared so that they can keep that $700-800 that H&R Block was taken away from you, and you can reinvest that into something else. And then still didn't feel like that was enough. And so then I started volunteering at Transitions Family Violence Services, which I was terrified of doing because then I had to face my past.
Yeah.
And sometimes we go through traumatic things in life and we just feel like, okay, I'm just going to pocket it happened. Like that's not where I am anymore. But volunteering at Transitions actually made me had to face it and process it and relive it. And it was the best decision that I ever made. I healed there. I grew up there. I learned so much about community, so much about myself, and the importance of, you can go through something really traumatic in life, but it won't define who you are. It will just make you stronger. And I learned so much from the women, the men, the children that walked through those doors that I still carry those lessons with me to this day. And I think it shaped who I am as a woman. Like I started there as a girl and I became a woman. I became a mother. I became a wife. I learned accountability. I learned transparency. And I learned the importance of being a servant leader. And that one person is never bigger than the work, than community. and just how far feeling empowered and supported can go in a person's life.
Amen.
Girl, she done said a mouthful, y'all. This is who y'all are going to be voting for. This is who you need to be voting for. You see, man, listen, man, because she done answered about 4 of these questions up here. You know what I'm saying? Let's start on number 9, actually.
Number 9?
Yeah, let's start on number 9, actually, because she just pretty much answered.
Yeah, she definitely.
Yeah, she definitely did. Wow, so I'm so impressed. Like, but listen, y'all, she over here taking over the interview. This how she gonna do at the treasurer's office. She gonna take over. You feel me? Treat y'all, do y'all the right way. Educate y'all. What?
People
I'm so
need
impressed.
that.
I am so impressed.
We do.
Question number 9.
Okay.
Miss Sanu, you got it. Y'all got it. I mean, I'm just at awe right now.
I know. So, what, if any, are your concerns as a woman, specifically an African-American woman, in the seat as the last treasurer of Newport News was a man and held the seat for 28 years?
Yeah. So, always as a black woman, right? Are we enough? That's it. I'm gonna just rest on that real quick.
Yes.
Are we enough? Will the community believe that we're enough? We saw what happened with Kamala Harris, right? Is she qualified? Can she do the job? And despite politics and all of the issues, right, that administration had to deal with, that was always the question. I mean, she went to the best of schools. She held positions that black women only dream of. And so one of my concerns is, like, is community going to question, like, are you enough? There has never been a black woman in this role. That's huge in itself, managing the city's finances. And so I think what's important for me is being bold in this endeavor, that a woman can do it, a black woman can do it, and also to be an inspiration to young black girls to say, just because we don't see ourselves in these roles or we've never had these seats, we still deserve to be there. And if there's not a seat at the table, then bring your own table and a chair and make it happen, because we belong there. And we have great ideas. We have care and compassion. We hold already so much just being black women, that you can do this. You got this. And so just be bold and be confident in who you are, and community will show up, because community has been showing up and has been so supportive. So just take the first step, and God got the rest.
You heard it here.
Yeah. Do you anticipate any hardships in this new role, and how do you plan on addressing these challenges for women, overall families, and in your community?
Absolutely. So we are in a different era right now. That's no surprise to anyone, what's happening, like, federally. We all thought it was going to be bad. I don't think we thought it was going to be this bad, this fast.
Oh, yes.
And so my concern that I've been talking about is families thriving. You know, my mantra for this campaign has been to elevate Newport News. There are going to be things that are going to happen at the federal level that we can't control. There are going to be some things that happen at the state level that we can hope that we get the right leadership and the right delegates and the right senators to make the right decisions. But most of the impact that we really feel is locally, and the reason why I want to come back home. And I want to make sure that we are proactive and not reactive when we know that families are struggling to pay their taxes, when we know that businesses are not seeing the influx and flow of customers and the options that are available to them. I want them to know that the treasurer's office is aligned and also vested in their success. Like, we want to see you thrive. We want to see you succeed, because you are the taxpayer, right? You are the revenue source of what makes this city move. And without you, this city will be stagnant. And so there's got to be a partnership between government and people and not a hierarchy where you just do what I say, right? I send you a notice and you pay it and you don't ask me any questions about it. No, there's more than a notice. There's a conversation that needs to take place. There's a connection between you and I that needs to happen. There are an exchange of questions and concerns and curiosity that I want to welcome in this office so that people know, yes, there's certain accommodations that we can make in the code section. And I want to hear your ideas about how we can make this easier for you in this process. Most folks make their payments twice a year. You can make your payment every month. And so I foresee, we already know it's happening. People are clenching their purses. People are concerned about the economy. There's a lot of uncertainty. And I want this office to not be a place of fear that you're worried about seizing, your properties or liens or garnishments. I want there to be a connection and a conversation with us about what you need and what you expect and what you want to see this office do. And then my job is to meet that expectation, right? And be transparent to tell you, yes, I can, or no, I can't, or I need your help and how we can get there. So, but I'm, again, a hopeful optimist. I think that we have amazing residents, resilient residents of Newport News that just need the invitation of a connection and engagement. And we'll move it forward.
That's awesome that you bring that up, because when I get a notice in the mail, I look at them like the judge, executioner, and jury. Like, if I don't pay this, I never looked at the treasurer's office as a place of connection. I never looked at it as a place where I can have a conversation and where my voice can be heard. I look at them as no different than Dominion Energy or the mortgage note that come in the mail. Notice, pay, and we keep it in, you keep me happy, and I won't tax you, or I won't,
Absolutely.
dig into you, right, or cut you off or get into your pockets.
Absolutely.
So this is the first time that in my many years of living that I have heard a future treasurer talk about connecting the people with where their money is going.
Absolutely. Well, let's be honest.
And what they're...
Taxes aren't sexy.
No,
Right?
they're
Nobody
not.
likes to pay taxes, but I think that if people understand my taxes contribute to that school, my taxes contribute to that intersection that I sit in for 30, 40 minutes and I'm figuring out why they don't build another lane. My taxpayer dollars are contributing to the functionality of the city that I love and want to be in. You know what I mean? And I think it's important for people to understand how government works, because then when you understand how it works, then you understand the power that you have in it. And so that's what I want people to, I want them to just feel empowered and feel connected to it, like you said, and not feel like, oh my gosh, it's this notice. Yes, you do have to pay the notice. But there's so much behind that notice that we can be having a conversation about, that I welcome folks to come down to the treasurer's office, pull up, or I'm going to come to a community near you and let's have a conversation.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. As a Black woman in a leadership position, what unique challenges have you encountered in your campaign, and how have you navigated them?
Well, I'm the only woman that's running with two male opponents. And so I think there's and let's just keep it real, right? That fine balance of, angry Black woman, or passionate Black woman. Yes. And I'm a very passionate Black woman when it comes to community and people and justice and accountability. That is and truth, that is speaking from a place of facts and truth, and making sure that people have the best, because our community members deserve the best. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's got to be perfect, but they deserve to have your best. Yes. And they also deserve to be able to say, listen, I got to check you on this thing. And you welcome that. And so I think that's the line that I teeter on, right? I'm not angry, I'm passionate about community. And I've done the work, right? Yes. I talked about earlier, being enough. I've done the work. And so not from a place of arrogance, but please Google me, Sanu Dieng. Been doing this work a long time. Yes, not new to this, but true to this, yes, right? This is not this is not something that I just woke up and had an epiphany and said, oh, I just want to run. I am running for a position in the most difficult economic time that we're in. And it's because I care deeply about our families, about our small businesses, and about our community overall, and want to make sure that Newport News is fortified and continue to move strategically the way that it has with no setbacks because of the federal landscape, or uncertainty that happens at the state level. We have to continue to move forward. Yes, we will have to pivot, but that's what we need to do. And so as a Black woman, it's, again, is she angry? Is she passionate? Is she up for the task? Like, can she handle it? Being an executive director at a domestic violence organization that dealt with human trafficking, it is difficult work. Dealing with survivors, and then also empowering survivors when there are people that want to maintain power and control. And so I'm up for the challenge. I'm strong enough to handle the challenge. I know what it feels like to carry the weight of an organization and people that depend on you to raise money, to manage money, and to make sure that their livelihood is not going to be disrupted. It's not just about just me, myself, and I. I've had to endure that responsibility when people are depending on you. And so I'm ready for a community to depend on me to do that work too.
Wow. Beautifully said.
Yes.
Beautifully said.
Yes. So what strategies do you believe are essential for promoting economic development in Newport News, and how can the Treasurer's Office support these initiatives?
Financial education is huge. I think, I know when people are empowered with information in a way that's practical, like they understand, okay, this is how this applies to my everyday, right? This is how I'm saving for that bill, or I'm saving for that trip, or I understand as a small business how to navigate through the city. I understand what loan programs are available to me, what mentorship opportunities. I don't have to figure it out, right? Sometimes people spin their wheels trying to figure a thing out and they get so exhausted that they give up. And I want people to have hope in knowing that you can be financially secure. You can purchase that home. You can start that business, and that we're here to give you that information. Really, the Treasurer's Office, I really want to see a financial empowerment center run out of that place where I'm a connection point to everyone that's doing this in community, but just mobilizing them in one place and then being a one-stop shop for people to get all of the resources that we need. As I've been campaigning, part of it is going to all of these community events, and I see so much duplication. That there's an entrepreneur event here, and then there's another event here that someone wants to talk to a small business. Imagine if all of that was mobilized in one place on a consistent basis, that you don't have to wait for a special weekend or a special occasion to do it. I can come to you at any given time and moment and say, I need to talk to someone about my taxes. I need to talk to someone about starting that small business. I need to talk to someone because I can't pay my light bill and I'm forced with my light bill and my property tax. And connecting you to your United Way or to your nonprofit, and just being that connection point for folks, but out of a government office, right? Our nonprofits do so much already. How can we alleviate some of that pressure? The Treasurer's Office has access to over 180,000 residents. Imagine getting that information to 180,000 people and saying, you don't have to experience a crisis to get that information. I've got it. I have it ahead of time, and how empowering that would feel to folks, and the decisions that they might make and the contributions that they could give to the city of Newport News, knowing I've got a government agency, I've got nonprofit agencies, and I've got community members that want to see me thrive and elevate the city. We can move it forward.
Wow. Wow. Sanu, you are blowing me away here, girl.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
We can do it. It takes a collective, and I can't do this by myself. It's collaboration over competition. Let's do it together.
Okay. Yeah, you might want to do this one. I have a problem with enunciating that word. I keep saying the wrong word. I keep saying physical when it's physical. Physical.
So, How do you envision balancing fiscal responsibility with sustainable investments that benefit the community?
Fiscal responsibilities.
Yes.
Did I say it right? Fiscal responsibilities.
Fiscal responsibility. Yeah, so, the treasurer's office handles a lot of fiscal responsibilities. There's a lot of transparency, annual audits that, have to be done. And so, I think that's managing a team, right?
Okay.
That knows exactly what that office has done, can speak to some changes that need to take place, and making sure that we are being as efficient as possible, and being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars in doing that. And so that fiscal management piece, running a nonprofit, the first thing, you learn is how to stretch a dollar. And then also just how to be cost effective in what you're doing. And so moving from paper to more technology, looking at, okay, where are some consolidations that we can make in this office, to work smarter and not harder. I think also, working with the public and how we can streamline things and make them easier is going to be really important as well. And so, as I hear like everyone has their platform, I'm really looking forward to hearing from community. I spent some time this past Saturday talking to a business owner about, I got this duplicate notice and then I got to pay this and then I've got to do this. And it's like, so how can we make that easier? And I think that removing some of the duplications or some of the errors that we're seeing, that's going to get into the fiscal management piece of just some efficiency where we can save some money. But I also know that in this climate that we're in, there are going to have to be some pivots in some of the investments that we're going to see our city make, that we might have to start investing more internally, that there might be some projects that we might have to say, and again, that's above my pay grade, because as a treasurer, you're kind of processing those things.
For now.
Right, for now. We're processing those things. But to say to the city, this is how much revenue I'm seeing coming in, and I see this project is going to cost the city this much. There might need to be a pivot. Yeah. And then even just looking at the projections, right? I'm really excited about looking at, analyzing the finances to just see, okay, we've got to anticipate that there are going to be some delinquencies, right? And how is that going to impact some of the things that we need to move forward? I would be naive to say that folks are not going to be delinquent in some way, shape, or form. And so I think it's looking at all of those things and working with, city council, working with our community leaders, working with our families, working with our small businesses to just see how we can mitigate some of those issues that may come up. Okay. Yeah.
What measures will you implement to ensure transparency and accountability in the city's financial practices? The big one, the booyah.
The booyah.
Yeah, that got a lot of these people caught up in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, so
transparency.
What will you do? Ooh.
Open the books.
Okay.
So part of the treasurer's responsibility is that the books are open, right? Mm-hmm. People need to see what you are doing, and are you following the code section, and are you doing exactly what you're supposed to do? And so what I'd like to do is release an annual report for people to see, some of the in-depth inner workings of, how money is moved into every, aspect of the city. Mm-hmm. Some of that you can't, right? But I'd like folks to get a high-level understanding of how their revenue is contributing to how the city is moving forward. And like I said earlier, I think that just helps people feel good about paying the tax. For the majority of folks, right. Some people just
exactly.
But an annual report to see how that's moving. I'd love for folks to see the impact of the financial literacy and education that we're offering. How many people feel more confident about saving? How many people feel more confident about starting that business? And having those testimonies in there, right? Spotlighting this person that started a business and got to live what we call the American dream, right? Or own that home. I saved my 3% to get that FHA loan. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like I think that when people see that report, it's also going to be inspiring for folks to say, I didn't think that I could do it, but look at that person. They're doing it, and my circumstance is similar to theirs. I want to do that, or I want to partner with the Treasurer's Office to help, bring more jobs to people that, need a second chance. And so I think that report is going to be huge. That's going to give a level of transparency to help people also understand what the Treasurer's Office does. Because I tell you, knocking on these doors, people are like, what do you do in this
other than
office?
send me a bill.
Other than send me a bill. You are
Right.
managing the city's finances. You are, running payroll. There's so much that office does that it's going to be important for people to understand that. But I also will say, transparency and accountability for the candidates, such as myself, is also really important.
Yeah.
I encourage community members to question, how have you been transparent in your leadership, and how have you been held accountable? Prove to us how, you're telling me you can run this office. How have you run the other offices or organizations or businesses that you claim that you have been a success in? Mm-hmm. Please, community, do that. Please ask questions, be curious, and ask about how we have been transparent and accountable in our everyday lives, and not just because we want to be in this position. Yeah. I think that's really important for folks. And residents have the right to ask those questions with no emotions, right? Yes. I'm not going to get mad at you and throw a tantrum. You have the right to ask me that question, because I'm responsible for so much. Yeah. Your money. It's your money, not mine. So.
Okay, all right, Miss Jane. Okay, you see what she said. Okay.
So, how do you plan to collaborate with other city departments to ensure a holistic approach to financial management and community development?
Absolutely. So, there's already a lot of alignment right now with the Treasurer's Office and the Office of Economic Development, the Office of, Tourism and Event. All of these offices, City Council, there's internal work groups and committees that work together. There's already a collaboration with the Commissioner of Revenue's office. And so I'd like to strengthen those connections. I am deeply appreciative to have the endorsement of the incumbent, Marty Eubank, but he's been there for 28 years. And the exciting thing about new leadership and new energy is when you come in, you bring new perspective. You can see things that others probably haven't been able to see because they've been there for so long. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to say, hey, have we ever thought about consolidating these things or collaborating in this way? Or maybe the Treasurer's Office doesn't need to do this thing. Maybe that's more suited in your space or in your office, and making those connections. And so I'm very strategic in that way. I love a good puzzle to see how you make it all fit and not sit there for 10 years to try to complete it.
Right.
So excited about that opportunity to bring fresh perspective.
Wow. She's blowing me away. I just get wrapped up into, I'm very hopeful for what you're going to do for the city of Newport News. I'm very hopeful for it. How important is representation in a local government, and what message do you hope to send to young women of color considering running for office?
Do it. And you don't have to be a politician, because I am not a politician. You just need to care. And if you want to see change, and you know that you can organize that, and you just deeply care about it, go for it. I think that, when we think about elected officials, we think about, they've got to have a certain background, a certain pedigree, and you don't have to. You have to have a certain prestige and name, in community. I'm not running because I need to make a name for myself. I'm running because I care. I'm running because I see a problem and I know that I can be a part of a solution. And I know that I can't do that on my own. I know that I'm a collaborative leader, and I'm excited about bringing other people to the table and hopefully them being inspired, not only to be a part of what I'm doing, but to also find their piece in community and make that change. And I think there needs to be just a more courage around that and a boldness. You know, when I listen to, you know, Jasmine Crockett and how she speaks and how she brings her whole authentic self, you know, and she is one of the bold voices that we are seeing fight for the injustice that we're seeing at the federal level. She's inspiring a whole generation of young girls to say, I'm going to bring all that sass and all that attitude and all that boldness, and I'm going to speak my truth. And I'm going to make change happen. And I'm going to keep doing it, right? Rinse, repeat, until it lands. And so that's my hope, that people can see, you know, everything that you've done professionally in your work. It doesn't have to kind of fit in this political box, right? You've cared for people in community. You have a background in finance. You see an issue in a government office, and we're gonna make that gumbo, and we're gonna serve it up.
Yes, we are.
And you know, the community's gonna make it a little spicy, add a little spice here and there, and it's gonna evolve and change based on what our community needs. And so, yeah, do it. Like Nike.
Love
I don't know. That might be trademark. We might not be able to say like Nike, but just do it.
You better just do it.
Just do it. Yes.
That's free promo for
Believe in
them.
yourself. Yeah.
All right, Nike, send me a check.
So, where do you see Newport News in the next 5 to 10 years, and what role do you believe the Treasurer's Office will play in achieving that vision?
Absolutely. I see Newport News thriving. I see Newport News, you know, Hampton Roads is got so much potential.
It does. It does.
And Newport News, I mean, I'm excited about just like the leadership that we see like brewing and coming up in Newport News. I see families thriving. I see us, you know, having small businesses move to mid-sized businesses, to big corporations. I see, you know, people migrating from other larger cities to want to plant themselves in Newport News. And, you know, one of my aspirations for this office is, you know, seeing, and of course this is with the collaboration like in Invest Fest that we see happen in Atlanta, Georgia, where we are highlighting the best and the brightest in Newport News along the eastern seaboard, and people coming to Newport News and just saying, it's something about this place. It's something about the people. It's the energy. It's the potential. You know, they've got beach. They've got, you know, it's urban.
But still suburban.
But right, it's urban. It's suburban. It's chic. It's got an attitude about it, right? That is undeniably, you know, for people that are just like, I got to be a part of it. I'm telling you, it's a je ne sais quoi. It's a thing about Newport News, and I think that, you know.
And she just learned French.
Listen, I'm trying to work on my languages. But like, you know, it's the thing that people feel like when they're in Richmond, you know, when they're in Virginia Beach. Newport News, it's next. It's next. And not no shade to, you know, Richmond and Newport and Norfolk and Virginia Beach, but Newport News it's on the map, and it's about to blow up. Yeah. Okay. It's blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
It's already there. Yeah.
Okay. So, how would you prepare the city's finances to withstand economic downturns or crises based on lessons learned from recent events?
It's that being proactive opposed to reactive. You know, I think we're seeing that now, where we're just kind of waiting, right? Yeah. We're waiting for so much to happen, and then we're like, okay, now what do we do? We know what's coming, and so it's those community conversations that need to happen now. It's getting folks educated about what their options are, and letting them know that they have options. I think also getting ahead legislatively around looking at the code section and saying, okay, where am I prohibited in these areas, or where are some changes that need to be made, and getting our legislative agenda ready for hopefully new leadership at the state level, where we can start making those tweaks and changes. One thing I'll give kudos to at the state level is that we saw the mass layoffs of federal workers, right? And Speaker Don Scott instituting a committee to start already having those conversations, right? How can the state start to offset some of what we're seeing, knowing that Virginia has a ton of federal employees?
Yes.
Being a spouse of a federal employee, I appreciate that being proactive. And so I think looking at that at the local level as well, to say, what do we need to create, to convene, and to do to make sure that we don't find ourselves in fiscal crisis, and also knowing that when you're in fiscal crisis, there's a correlation with, violence that happens in community and scarcity that happens in community. And so there's a whole connection that if we don't start empowering people and supporting people around their finances, we're going to see a trickle down effect in society. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what ways do you think technology can improve financial management and accessibility for city residents?
Absolutely. So technology is the way. Technology is the way. I'm not, there with, robots working in places, but I do believe that creating an accessible app for people to connect with the treasurer's office is going to be really important. Streamlining, how you're making your payments, how you're finding information. Yes, I'd love for you to come into the office, but you need to have financial resources and education, at your fingertips. I think that also making sure that everyone in our community, as diverse as Newport News has become, can access information in the language of their choice. And also, as I've been out and talking to folks in community, making sure that the office is accessible for our second and third shift workers. We have traditional hours, right? And there are folks that have questions after 4:30 and 5:30 and want to talk to us and want to talk to someone, right? And so technology can be a place to do that, right? With the AI chat bot that can answer those questions. But I also want our wise folks in community that are like, listen, technology done left me behind at MySpace, and y'all on Facebook and Snapchat and everything else, and X, that know that as a millennial, yes, I'm invested in technology, but know that there's always space for like human interaction and connection, right? It can't take it over completely. We still need people. And so I am excited, though, about how we can move things forward with technology and just make sure that it's efficient for us, it's efficient for the residents, but also still have that human connection. There'll be a balance.
Understood. So what personal values guide your decision-making, especially in matters of public finance and community service?
So my experience in the financial industry taught me the importance of compliance. It taught me the importance of transparency and accountability. Remember, housing crisis, crazy time.
Yes.
Occupy Wall Street, I remember, was the huge movement where young people were asking, we want to know the bonuses for bank executives. We want to know what our money is being used for. And so looking at that movement and like accountability and transparency and how important that is, that taught me, don't ever do anything that someone can't verify. And also that you're going to be in positions, and I learned this in the nonprofit space, where people are trusting you with their most valuable resource, whether that's a city grant, a federal grant, or I'm making my own personal donation, right? And entrusting that the way that you're going to treat my $25 is the way that you're going to treat my $25,000. And so people will trust you, but always create room for them to verify that you're doing the right thing. The nonprofit space also taught me to always lead with compassion and care and to center people around everything that I do. They are my boss always. And so I think that, over time, customer service has gotten lost a bit, where the customer is always right.
Yep.
And I think that even if someone isn't right, I always try to see where did maybe I go wrong in my explanation or in my delivery, and what can I learn from how you're feeling right now. And those have just been values that have helped me continue to grow. And so I hope that, even as I'm running for this position, and God willing, have it, know that people can trust me, but I expect you to verify. And at any point and moment where I'm not listening to the people and caring about what it is that's important to you, then you have the right to not reelect me in this position, because it is your position. It's not one that I should feel entitled to or expected or ordained by anybody. It's ordained by you, the people. And so those are values that I have now, but I'm sure that community will challenge and be curious and be gracious, and I will add on to those values to continue to serve them the best way that I can.
Wow. Beautifully said.
Yes.
Last question. What would you like the 757, specifically the city of Newport News residents, to know about you? What do you want them to know about Miss Jang?
Yeah, I'm invested. I'm invested. I'm invested in the collective. It's not enough for me to do well, and my husband to do well, and my kids to do well, because we have to coexist in community. And so I'm invested in us all making it. I deeply care about this community. I'm invested in making sure that Newport News continues to elevate. I'm invested in making sure that we stay healthy as a community, that we continue to care. And I think that there are more of us that want that than folks that just want to tear folks down. And trust me, I've seen the worst of people. I've heard the worst of stories, but I've also seen the best of people and the best in this community. And I'm excited to walk alongside and work alongside the residents of Newport News. What's the surprise question?
So the surprise question, you know, I gotta get a little controversy. You know what I'm saying? So my question to you is, what makes you more qualified than your opponents?
Whew.
What makes you stand apart?
Where do I begin?
Please, we got all day.
Okay. One, I have the experience, and I think the most disheartening conversations that I've had has been, that doesn't matter. Whew, that makes me cringe. Yeah. That
it does.
Knowing how to do a job isn't enough. I have the financial background. I have the nonprofit leadership background of, no, I didn't just manage myself. I had to manage 20 plus staff members. Mm-hmm. I have served on boards that have multi-million-dollar budgets where we've had to make difficult decisions in financial crisis. We've had to expand organizations and grow because there was a demand for what it is that we needed. I have served as a treasurer for a multi-million-dollar nonprofit and have had to be entrusted. Anybody that has sat on a board of directors knows there's a fiduciary responsibility. There's a duty of loyalty to an organization. And so I don't take those things lightly. I don't take that experience lightly. Was I terrified when I first started taking on those responsibilities? Absolutely, because you're responsible ultimately, right? But over time perfected that. And not just at the local level, but at, state organizations, national organizations. Even my experience as being appointed on the governor's advisory committee for sexual and domestic violence under 2 different administrations, one Democratic and one Republican. And those conversations are very different about what their priorities are, in dealing with the issue of sexual and domestic violence, where we're looking at resources and we're looking at issues that are happening throughout the Commonwealth and how we can come together and solve those from a legislative lens. My work currently as a policy director, handling the agenda for 70 plus organizations that trust that I am speaking on their behalf and saying the right thing and pushing for the right legislation or opposing the right thing to make sure that we all thrive as a collective. That experience is invaluable. It's more than just representing me. I think also my experience, caring for people, and serving people in their darkest moments and being a resource for them, letting them know what their options are, makes me the only candidate that has had that community connection. And not to take away from, yes, people, you've helped your friends and your family members, and maybe you've, helped here and there, right, with the group. I have made it my life's work to be that person in this community, to be a connection, to be a resource, and not to be available just 8 through 5, right? I've had people call me at nights. This is weekends. This is nonstop. Being an advocate is 24/7. Yes. And I will continue to be an advocate for folks. And so my experience matters, and residents deserve experience. You don't need someone that's going to learn on the job. You need someone that knows how to do the job, because the time that we're in right now, there is no get up time to learn how to do a thing. There's a lot of responsibilities. There's no pause button and say, hey, wait, I got to learn how to do this real quick and then we can resume. The city has to continue to move forward. The residents have needs that need to be met. And I'm ready. I'm your day one. I'm your day one. Not your day 30, not your day 60. I'm your day one.
Okay, awesome. Right. I need you to look at that camera right there and tell people when they need to be at them polls.
Newport News and surrounding cities, if you know someone in Newport News, I need you to get out and vote on June 17th. This election, this primary election, is extremely important to select the right candidate that's going to move over into the general election. We are in trying times, and you deserve a candidate that can speak for you, a candidate that has the experience, a candidate that is willing to make bold solutions, that has a level, cool head, that knows how to deal with pressure, and is invested in this community and cares about this community to move it forward. You deserve that. This is your position. So please ask your questions. Be curious about this process. Don't vote for a person because a person told you to do it. Do your homework. You see where that got us federally. So please, let's fortify Newport News. Let's continue to elevate not only our families, our small businesses, but our city at large. Let's do this. I hope to see you on June 17th, and I hope to be your candidate. Let's make it happen. Let's elevate Newport News.
June 17th, people.
June 17th.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And I want to thank y'all.
And I just have one thing to say.
Yes.
As a property owner in Newport News, as a survivor of domestic violence, as an African-American woman, and as a business owner, Sanu Dieng-Cooper has my vote.
And mine's too. Matter of fact, hold on, y'all. Y'all think I'm playing. Y'all think I'm playing. Y'all about to do this. You better do this right here. Scan the QR code. Boom. We in there. Let me get it in there. Let me get it in there. Look at that. Beautiful, ain't it? Got it. Boom. We ain't playing. Let me get a, we ain't playing.
I love it. And I'm taking that endorsement. I'm taking that endorsement. And more like it. I want to thank you all.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Lion and Cryin podcast. We would like to thank our sponsors, Gifted Enterprises LLC, which is a mental health agency located in the Hampton Roads area. If you need outpatient therapy, need mental health skill building services, by all means contact them. Their information should be somewhere down here, up there somewhere, but yeah, it's going to be there. So make sure you contact us.
And The Holiday Boys, I am the author of The Holiday Boys. Please visit me to learn more about me, theholidayboys.com, and follow me on Instagram and Facebook at The Holiday Boys.
And
if you want to know more information about my campaign, please visit me at SanuDieng-Cooper.com.
awesome. Great.
That's it.
Wrap it up. That's
All
it. You did great.
Live
You did
and crying.
great. Oh, you did that. You
They
did
got
that.
some serious questions.
She did that.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I need you to tell your
Yeah.
host.
Yeah.
This is not no ABC podcast. They get deep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we do.
Deep.
Yes.
They dig deep.
Yes.
Listen. I did that.